Have you ever felt the energy in the room shift and realized that no one else noticed? Or are you baffled how other people miss things that seem really, really obvious to you? Or maybe you have a hard time explaining why you know the things you know, even though they're super clear and obvious to you. You just can't explain why. If these experiences are familiar to you, you might be one of the people that sits at the intersection between introversion, intuition, and sensory processing sensitivity, or what most people call HSP, or highly sensitive person. A particular combination of traits that creates a very small subset of people that actually serve a really important purpose in humanity. But in today's culture, it can feel like you're broken, like you don't belong, or you're an outsider. So in this video, I'm going to look at what these three traits are, how they interact, and what the purpose of this particular subset of people is all about. So let's get into this. Extroverts are always misunderstanding what introversion is. It's not about recharging your social battery. It's about how we're biologically designed to interact with the world. If you're an introvert, you probably already know that you're not shy and you don't dislike people. You actually just prefer small groups, intimate interactions, one-on-one, less chaos, and time alone to think for yourself. Biologically, introverts respond differently to the neurotransmitters of dopamine and acetylcholine. What this means is that we interact with the world differently. We prefer to stand back and observe, move into situations more cautiously, and have more intimate one-on-one interactions with people. This means we pay attention to nuanced details where extroverts tend to be more big picture. For a species to operate well, it needs both. The world that we live in right now is designed primarily for extroverts. It's loud, it's noisy, it's chaotic. So it doesn't play to our strengths, and thus we feel like we're pushed to the edges. The reason why we're like this is because it gives us a better view of things. Think about if you're standing in a crowd where you can only see the people right in front of you. There's a whole bunch of other stuff out there, a bunch of other people, but you can't really see all of them in any kind of detail. When you're standing on the edge and kind of up on a little bit of hill looking over, you get a much better big picture of everything. So our introversion automatically puts us in a better position to observe what's going on. So introverted children have been observed to stand on the edges and observe social situations for a while before they enter. And when they do enter, they have already internalized the body language, the social cues, the hierarchy and power dynamics at play, very quickly assimilate and gain social status and trust very naturally because they already understand what's going on there. They don't make the social faux pas of somebody who just rushes in. This is the power of introversion. This is the advantage of being an introvert. And this brings me to intuition. Intuition is very often misunderstood. Intuition isn't some mystical, magical power. It is an innate understanding of the dynamics at play in any given situation, but it's born from long exposure and experience. When you're exposed to particular types of situations over and over and over again, you absorb a lot of information and data on a subconscious level, which allows you to program your nervous system to react to that information automatically. This isn't conscious, this is subconscious. A good example of this would be an F1 driver. By the time they reach the level of F1, they've been driving since they were a very young child, and they've been in thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of driving situations. And they've absorbed all the different potential ways things can happen every time they enter a similar situation. And they've ingrained that into their nervous system. Everything that happens, they react to automatically without thinking. They intuitively respond to new situations on the track. It feels like an instinct. It looks like magic to those who don't have that experience. You put that same person on a basketball court and they don't know where they're supposed to be, how to position themselves to be most effective, where other players are going to move when the ball moves in a certain direction. They can't automatically know that because they don't have the years and years of built up, internalized, subconscious exposure that a professional basketball player had. Anyone can develop intuition. In fact, everyone does on some level, but that intuition is unique to their particular life experience. That's why intuition is situational. So how do introversion and intuition interact? This is where things start to get interesting. Because introverts naturally position themselves on the edges, and a lot of introverts I know like to people watch, they'll sit around and they'll watch other people interact. They'll watch their body language, their dynamics, make predictions about what the outcome of a situation is going to be, and then observe whether they're right or wrong. It's a fun little game we like to play, but we're actually programming our subconscious, our nervous system, to understand these social dynamics. That's one of the first places where this triad begins to build, is that natural tendency of introverts to stand on the edges and observe programs the subconscious to create better intuition. Are you seeing where this is beginning to come together? That's only two pieces of the puzzle. Let's look at the third one. Sensory processing sensitivity, or HSP. Sensory processing sensitivity is a temperament. They're not personality. They are temperaments that influence your personality. So they're biological traits, such as having certain genes that encode the way you handle dopamine and acetylcholine. It's actually measurable and it's a real thing. It's literally the way you're wired. It's the way your brain and your nervous system are built. To best understand sensory processing sensitivity, or highly sensitive people, it's really helpful to understand the DOES framework. I talked about it in depth in the last video, so I'm going to leave a link down below. You can check that out after this one. Watch that next to fill in what I don't talk about here. The first part of the DOES framework is D, for depth of processing. This is the HSP's tendency to think very deeply and analytically about everything they experience. And they experience everything on a more vivid level than most people. So they're taking in even more information. This is the S part, which is sensory sensitivity. So they're taking in more information than most people and analyzing it extremely deeply. What this looks like sometimes is overthinking, but it's very systematic, conscious analysis. It's not the subconscious intuition, it's conscious. They analyze patterns, they compare it to information they have from personal experiences, from things they've read about or subjects they've studied, and things they've observed as an introvert standing on the edges. They're putting all of this together and connecting dots that a lot of people don't even see. This allows them to draw very powerful and unique conclusions and create perspectives that other people just don't get. We have that aha moment, we share it, and they're like, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Why didn't I think of that? You didn't think of that because you're not HSP. Now, the E in the DOES framework is emotional reactivity and empathy. This is another key element of being HSP. The deep empathy that HSPs have gives them deep insights into the feelings and emotional lives of other people. They don't just see how people react, they feel how they react. They feel why they're reacting that way. They understand the emotions that are driving their reactions. This gives us a really deep understanding of other people. This deep processing, based on empathy, observation, and all the other parts of being this particular triad, creates a really powerful cocktail for understanding the world around you. So hopefully now you can begin to see how these three traits, HSP, introversion, and intuition, when one person possesses them all, it's a really powerful way to understand the world around you and to gain insights and perspectives that other people just don't have. So why did nature make this particular combination of temperaments and personality traits? And why are only a few people like this? This particular combination of traits is rare because we act like the radar for humanity. Our introversion places us on the edges so we can observe better both what's going on in our group and also what's happening around them. Our intuition allows us to respond quickly to those situations, and our HSP allows us to deeply analyze all the information we're taking in and draw conclusions and predict results so we can prevent bad things from happening and help point our tribe in the right direction so they can benefit from boons and opportunities that they might otherwise miss. We are the guides, the scouts, the lookouts, the radars, the truth tellers, and the advisors to our community. Now, you don't need 100 people like this in a tribe of 100. You just need one or two who serve that purpose and look out over everything else for the group. That's why there aren't that many of us. That's why it feels like we're so rare. But there's something else going on here. Another important trait that introversion plays in this combination. As introverts, we're naturally reserved. We don't speak up much in large crowds. But when we do speak up, that carries more weight. Think about it. If everybody's talking and then the one person who never speaks suddenly says something, everybody gets quiet and listens. They know that person who doesn't speak up much is paying attention to what's going on. And that's the power of introversion. A lot of times introverts will try and overcompensate for their reserved nature and try to be more extroverted. Lean into your natural reserve. If you don't have something to say, don't say it until what you have to say is meaningful and powerful and you feel compelled to share it because it has meaning behind it. That gives your words more weight and more power. A lot of HSPs and introverts wander through life wondering why they're here, feeling broken, alone, isolated. But now you know why you exist. You know the purpose for why nature made you the way you are, and you understand that it's a powerful and important role to play in the tribe. Once you understand this about yourself, you move through life with more confidence. You have a quiet authority that other people intrinsically trust. You just need to trust yourself. Lean into your natural tendencies. Let yourself think deeply. Let yourself feel deeply. Do so with confidence, knowing that you are serving an important purpose to those around you. Those of us who possess this unique triad are the quiet observers. We are the radars, the scouts, the truth tellers. And the world needs people like us now, so we need to step into that confidence. But if you're like me, there might be one more layer to this that is even more rare. I possess all of the traits I've just talked about, but I also have this deep need for constant stimulation. This is one of the reasons that I love riding motorcycles. This is one of the reasons that I enjoy bartending in a busy environment. Even though I'm an introvert, even though I get overstimulated, I still feel this need for experience, novelty, new knowledge, new skills, constant newness. This is a fourth temperament called high sensation seeking that has certain genetic markers and certain identifiable behavioral traits. When you combine it with HSP, you get a very rare combination. And for myself, this was the last puzzle piece that really helped me understand myself on a deep level and helped me tune my life to one that I found most satisfying. So in the next video, I talk about this particular combination in depth. If that sounds like you, high sensitivity and also the need for constant stimulation, then check out the next video because it's going to explain a lot about why you are the way you are.